Hey, this is Tony Byrne. Welcome to another episode of Asking for a Friend. This week we have Mike Cole from Superior Home Inspections. We're going to change it up a little bit and make sure you understand the home inspection process. Let's start by just introducing yourself to the internet.
Hi, my name is Mike Cole with Superior Home Inspections. I work in Idaho and Washington. I am a father of three. I've lived in Spokane my whole life. I'm an avid hunter and an outdoorsman.
Nice. And so you get to, as you're out inspecting homes, you get to survey land a little bit for possible hunting venues.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's just start by telling them what an inspection is.
A home inspection is a visual, non-invasive inspection of the house components. So I like to go through the electrical, the plumbing, the roofing, the siding, everything from the ground up to the top.
Okay, and so that differs from an appraisal how?
An appraisal is the value of the items in your house. So they're going to go through and take pictures of, your roofing, your siding, and all those, and they'll put it in their calculator and they'll add it all up at the end, and they'll get a total of what your house is valued at.
Okay, and so at the end of the day, the reality is as a lender, I'm going to order the appraisal, and the buyer is in charge of the inspection. And in reality, they don't have a choice on the appraisal, and they do on the inspection. Is that correct?
Yes. The client hires me, and then the bank and the lender hires the appraisal.
Are there things that the inspection doesn't cover?
Yes, there is. So I do not inspect. I'm not a pest inspector, and I'm not a mold inspector. I can identify these things. So a wood-destroying organism and black and fuzzy staining. And I recommend a lot of companies to come out and verify and make sure that fuzzy staining is still active or if it's not active.
So you're gonna, so like if you see something that looks like possibly is mold, and I'm assuming you kind of see that every once in a while, you just say, here's someone to call, right?
Yes, I do. So I'll say we got some white fuzzy staining up in the attic, and then I'll refer somebody that I have worked with in the past to come up and verify and make sure it's still not active. We do see a lot of mold in the attics. One
of the things I know, like for personal experience, is that you don't necessarily do sewers, correct?
I do not do sewer scopes. For liability reasons, I am not a plumber, so if something does go wrong, something breaks, an inspection is only 3 to 4 hours. If I break something, I'll have to run to Home Depot, get a part for it, then come back and try to fix it. There's just a lot of liability, and I do like to leave that to the professionals. So
one of the things that's happened to me was when we bought our first home, we had to replace the sewer a year later, and inspections do not cover sewers, correct?
No, we don't. We do not do sewer scopes. If we do have like a big tree in the yard or something like that, I will recommend a sewer scope. There is just a lot of liability when it comes to doing a sewer scope. I'm not a licensed plumber, and so if something does break, I would have to run to like Home Depot and get parts for that, and then I would have to come back and fix that. An inspection only takes 3 to 4 hours. Fixing something could take up to 4 hours to fix.
So I think one thing I'm going to say, just as a side note, is if you live on the South Hill, you should always have a sewer inspection. I don't think it's optional up there. Obviously, are there some other spots in town that may have similar issues?
Yes, anywhere where the house is older, lots of trees, bigger trees will definitely cause a problem with that. Older piping, clay piping, stuff like that. Anywhere within the last 15 years, I like to recommend a sewer scope.
So I know you sit down with all the clients and go through the inspection a little bit. What are some of the things that you see in a lot of homes that aren't that big of a deal that they don't need to necessarily always worry about?
So typically the things I see is a lot of chipping, cracking paint. That's just general maintenance of being a homeowner. Caulking around windows. That's just a typical thing. The sun beats on the caulk, it dries it out, it cracks, and then water gets in there. That's always something that you're going to have to work on as being a homeowner. GFCI outlets and outlets period. A lot of people seem to wire those backwards or not put GFCI outlets in the wrong spot. That's a typical $20 fix, 5 screws, real easy to take care of. Okay,
so I think the big thing is like, and my guess is this happens when you see clients, is that, man, all this stuff, this house is going to be horrible, when like a lot of it is just simple fixes or just the cost of home ownership.
Yep, exactly. A lot of these are just real easy fixes. pop up the YouTube, if you're nervous on it, or, you can call a professional to do it if you're very nervous about doing something like that.
So I know, like, the reality is we have an inspection too, because that helps you make kind of your final decision on home buying. What are some things that that are potential issues that create like a decision, like should I buy this home or not, that you want them to take a closer look at or whatever?
So if we see major structural problems, if I see stepping cracks come through the foundation or something like that, that might be, if the windows are off kilter, the front porch is slide away a couple feet away from it. If we see just major structural problems, we do not see a whole lot of structural problems around here. I do like to leave it up to the client if they would like to walk away from the deal or not. I am trying to give them the best information so they can make a smart decision on purchasing the house.
Yeah, perfect. So what are some of the questions people should ask during a home inspection?
The client should ask where your main water shutoff is, where your main gas shutoff is, how to install your furnace filter properly, just typical maintenance of the house. If you have wood siding, just ask, what do I do to preserve that? Painting is always a good way to preserve your wood siding on your house and your fascia.
Okay, so how long does it take, and do clients need to be at the home inspection with you?
I always love it when my clients show up to an inspection. I prefer that. An inspection takes 3 to 4 hours. After the end of our inspection, I want them to know more about their house than the previous house that they live in now.
I think one thing to know too is that, and this is my experience and it may not be everybody's experience, but that's one of the only times you really get to kind of like plan out your house when you're buying it, right? Because you're like, there's a lot of times people are living in it and you don't get to go in it. So if you're not like walking around with you during the house, you get to like kind of plan out your furniture and all those kind of things.
Yep, definitely. I have tape measures so you guys can measure for couches and for blinds. Definitely, clients love to go do that when they come in their house.
Where's your favorite place to grab a drink or some dinner in the kind of the inland Northwest?
A favorite place of mine is in the summertime. I like to ride my Harley out to Curley's over State Line, Idaho. That is a great place to grab a drink. They have great drink specials and a great place to dance.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Tell the people how they can get in touch with you if they need an inspection or have any questions.
You can call me at 904-7673, or you can find me on Facebook.
We'll see you next week on Asking for a Friend.